More and more we're understanding the relevance of sleep in our world, and no more so than sleep with our children. There is so much evidence to say that the better our children sleep, the more rested they are and the more that they can function on so many levels, whether it's a cognitive function, whether it's their immune system is being boosted, on so many levels. Often parents will ask me about how much sleep is required for their child, but this is very much dependent on a number of factors. The first factor that will often determine our children's ability to sleep is looking at their individual sleep needs. Just like adults, we all have different sleep needs, and our children are the same. Some of our children require more sleep than others, as we do as adults. So looking at our individual sleep needs of our children. The second thing is our children's personality, their temperament. Temperament plays a really big factor. And why this plays a big factor with our children's sleep is because their temperament will help us understand how they are able to transition or how they're able to accept sleep more readily. So it's all about transition, and sleep is a transition. Sleep is separation. So it's how our children and their temperament will adapt to these different changes. So temperament's important. Where they are developmentally is also important. For example, if our child is going through a cognitive leap, internally, neurologically changes are happening, and so therefore their sleep need will be disrupted. So that is also part of the factor when we're coming to look at our children's sleep needs. Now, there are a range of averages that the National Sleep Foundation, a number of research papers will show you what the average sleep needs are for our children, but it's really important to understand that's exactly what they are. They are average, and we mustn't try and make our children fit into these sleep needs. So, for example, we know that at birth, when our babies are first born, they do not have our circadian rhythm, meaning the melatonin, the sleep hormone, isn't present in their system. And that doesn't happen until about 12 weeks, roughly about 12 weeks. Now, when that does come in at 12 weeks, that means that they get a signal to the brain to prepare them for sleep. Meaning, again, that they are able now to begin to recognize night and day. Up until then, they were working on a 24-hour, possibly 25-hour clock. So that's our newborns. They then encounter what everyone knows as this huge cognitive leap at 4 months, but it is not a progression, it is not a regression, it is a progression. But that does impact their daytime sleep, because now that they've had this huge expansion of the brain, they can stay awake a little bit longer. And so from birth to approximately 4 months, the daytime sleep of our babies is approximately 17 to 19, 20 hours. But the thing here is, look at that variability. There's a huge variability, and I know in some of the studies it will say 16 hours. So again, it is paying attention to your baby's specific needs. So that's 4 months. Then, following that 4-month progression, their daytime sleep changes a little, and now the average daytime sleep requirement is approximately 3 to 3.5 hours, with 11 to 12 hours at night. We then move forward, and as our child is growing and of course going through these cognitive leaps, once our child is approximately 11 months, that daytime sleep drops down from 3 hours, 3.5 hours to 2 hours, and with 11 to 12 hours at night. And that's quite interesting, because that again is preparing them for when they pass through their first year and go towards that 13, 14 months, they're now beginning to transition from 2 to 1 naps at approximately 13 to 14 months. You would try and avoid transitioning our children from the 2 to 1 nap, and note I said transition, not dropping a nap, before 13 months, because somewhere around 12 to 13 months, our children encounter another cognitive leap, and that is there'll be a spike in separation anxiety. So we don't want to be making too many changes when our children are already going through a neurological change. And then once our children have transitioned from that 2 to 1 nap, it will be somewhere around the minimum amount of daytime sleep we want our children to have is 1.5 hours, maximum 2 hours. But again, you want to see the impact it's having on your specific child. I had one child recently, and what we discovered from our sleep work, if this little boy slept for 1 hour 50, he woke at 4:45 in the morning. If he slept for 1 hour 40, he actually woke at 6:45. So being curious around your child's behaviour and their sleep is actually what is going to inform you best about what your children need.